Hi everyone, it's Marit, the one who catches lightning in the path of Ish, and this is for the Jaguar School. It's in your group. I'll download it, put it on YouTube so that I can also share it with the CACAO class. And I wanted to talk more about relationships and when it comes to specifically cacao, and when it comes to what you're adding to cacao, and when it comes to consuming. One of the things that I keep trying to emphasize specifically now when we are consuming something is relationship. And the reason being this, here's an opportunity to be not completely abstract. Like when I tell you, go talk to water or think water before you drink it. It could be a little abstract for people, right? To have that relationship or understand how to build relationship. Water's one thing, right? When we're doing with cacao, right? What I have noticed, what we do with tea, what we do with coffee, is that people just drink it, right? And they don't think, and they want to make it yummy. Great. We like to enjoy things. But this is really about what are the relationships that you are bringing in. We talked a little bit about this the other class. So I wanted to talk about honey, right? Cacao is bitter. It's 100% dark chocolate. No sugar is added. No milk is added. Pure raw cacao. Now, again, I drink it raw. That's how I was taught. It's medicine, right? It's not just like hot chocolate. Hot chocolate's different, right? This is for medicinal purposes, quote unquote, right? Don't tell your doctor I said that, but in the sense of medicina, of the spirit, right? This is about creating that relationship with cacao, the tree, the volcano, and everything in Hawaii. So I'm going to prepare a little cacao today, just so you can see how I do it. But I wanted to bring out, let's say, I did want to sweeten it. Let's go. I'll close this. Okay. So I brought out 3 honeys that I have here in my house. Sweet Aloha honey, raw and organic, made in Hawaii. No label honey. Farmer's market gift. Good and Gather organic honey, grade A, product of Brazil. I think I got this at Target. This I got at Costco. This at the farmer's market. It was a gift. Now I want to use these 3. Maybe I can turn the camera around. I should really prepare for like better videos and backdrops. Let's see. And I want you to just feel the energy of this honey, feel the energy of this honey, and feel the energy of this honey. Right? These both say non-GMO organic, so good, we're doing good things. Now let's talk about my relationship with these honeys. Now let's start with this one, Brazil. I have never been to Brazil. Target, I love Target. Target has been good to me. I dance in Target. So my relationship with Target is something that I can bring to this conversation with this honey as I create a better relationship with it. Now, relationship with this honey. What is my relationship? This was a gift given to me at this farmer's market when we went to buy, what were we buying? Some fruit. I'm trying to ask Rose. She doesn't know I'm talking to her. And it was, this is, from one of the farmers here. She's Mexican as well, comes from a coastal village. So we spoke in Spanish. We talked about living in Hawaii, being from Mexico. So right here, I have a different relationship immediately than with this honey, right? Feel the difference. Now this honey, this is the second time I bought this honey. I wanted to get it because it was Hawaiian. And it's from Costco and stuff like that. Nothing wrong with anything. But here then my question is, what is my relationship here? My relationship, I've started a relationship with Hawaii. I live here, right? I've never visited this farm, so I don't have relationship to that. I do have relationship to, trying to live in a good way with certified organic and stuff like that. This is wild crafted And so it's, let me open this up. Look at that. That's why I got it. Super cool. And I've had this honey before, so I know a little bit more about this honey. So let's go through the energetics of this. What is your relationship? My relationship with each one of these is different, just like your relationship will be. But I want you just to feel the energetics of each one. Very different energetics, right? Very different relationships. Now, what is my relationship with bees? I have done classes with bees, not like how to make honey. I have friends who are beekeepers. I make sure, and I have had a garden planted for pollinators. So I support bees in their pollination, whether I was in California or here. We actually make our garden available for pollinators and to try to give them what they need. So I have a relationship with bees. I also have a relationship with bees because I've sat and meditated with bees and taken spiritual bee classes, I guess you could say, in just understanding the energetics of bees. So now I have multiple relationships going in. My relationship with bees and Mother Earth and the plants that I grow. My relationship with the energetics of bees and studying bees on an energetic level, right? And then my relationship here, as we're talking about these three honeys. I was like, what are they again? And my relationship with the land, my relationship with Hawaii, my relationship with Brazil, with Target, with Costco, which I've only gone to twice, and my relationship with the farmer's market and the local person who here is from Mexico. So when I'm making a decision which honey to use, if I choose to put honey in my cacao, right, which I don't, I will sit and meditate and see which one what relationships I want to bring in. I'm not just going to grab the thing that's sitting in my cupboard. As you can see, I had 3 honeys sitting in my cupboard, so I have a little bit more choice. If you just have 1 honey in your cupboard, that's great, but check what relationships you have to that honey. Relationships of how you exchanged money for it, what practices you're upkeeping when you are using that honey, and then also check in with how do you support honeybees on your day-to-day? Do you plant? Do you save honeybees? I just saved one the other day, and I just saved a wasp, not a honeybee, but, do you help winged beings, when you see them? Or are you just kind of like shooing them away? Are you afraid of bees? This is an interesting thing. If you're afraid of bees and you're using honey, I would really check into that relationship because you're sending really mixed messages. Now, why would I want to add honey to my cacao? Not just to sweeten it, right? But maybe because I'm meditating with the idea of how to create community. Bees really teach you about community. Or if I'm also learning how to navigate, right? Maybe a new place. Bees have maps. They can take the tribe, the honeybee tribe, to plants and fruit, that they've been from, right? They're not writing maps, they know it. So if you are having internal compass issues, bees would be a good relationship to start nurturing. Now, how do you sit with bees in ceremony? Well, you have honey. You're not going to go out there and, just bring bees in. You could probably have a picture of a bee sitting in your altar, right? Your cacao altar, as you build more relationships, as you start learning from these bees, as you start seeing it's not just about you taking, right? But how are you going to give back? Are you going to plant plants? Can you donate to people and people out there that are growing honey? Can you support your local farmers that are doing that? Can you do good things to Mother Earth in the ways that you walk with her? Even though you're in quarantine, you might be in quarantine, there are still things that you can do to be part with your relationship with bees, with Mother Earth, and cacao. Okay. Parte dos, maicena. I sent this to the Aussies into this group. If you do not have your cacao, which I just got a notification will be probably delivered on Monday because of your Aussie Rules football game, you can use atole. Now, this is a pre-packaged form. I grew up with this. Very different relationship, right, than if I was going to make it from scratch myself. Very different because I'm adding my energy. I'm still adding my energy here. I have a relationship with this particular product for 40 some years, right? Involves my childhood, I know where it's made, all of those things, my family, the rituals that we used with this. So there's nothing bad, but this is again, we're talking about, this is the relationship that I'm bringing into this. If I had no relationship with this would be something that I would want to create a relationship. So who am I bringing in? This one's chocolate. So I got the chocolate one to show you. So it's cacao, relationship with chocolate. What's my relationship with chocolate? What's my relationship with corn? What's my relationship with the different gods or goddesses of corns, right? And how am I also, when I take something, give something back to the land, right? Are you one of those people that take the whole corn home with you and then shuck it at home and then maybe reuse parts of the corn silk for tea? You can use the greens for tamales or for cleaning and scrubbing. The corn husk you can use to clean and scrub. Or are you one of those people to the grocery store just shucks and lets someone else take care of your waste, what you consider waste, so that and then you put your thing in a plastic bag? What is your relationship? What is your relationship? We have to, it might sound nitpicky, but I'm not trying to be nitpicky. I'm just trying to empower you, remind you of the choices that you make every day and how to interact with this planet and with this world and you and your sovereignty and the choices that you make and what you bring into the circle. So many people say, oh my God, Marita, I have no choice. My life is planned, or this is this, and people have done this to me. You do. You have small choices. And if you can empower yourself and recognize the power of the small choices that you make, whether it's connecting with water, thanking your body of water, taking that moment, or just consuming it quickly, that's a different kind of relationship. Now, cacao. I'm supposed to tell you about salt today too, so we'll talk about salt. So I have some Himalayan salt here, pink Himalayan salt, that we actually brought with us from California. So this salt, this relationship that I have, is something that we've used a lot. It's traveled with me. I do travel with salt. It's more than just if I pick something off the shelf, because it's bonded to me, right? And that's the thing, right? These things that we use, that we consume, bond to us. Therefore, they have our energetics. Therefore, if you're just shucking things or not taking care of things, not acknowledging water or cacao or things like that, you're missing an opportunity to acknowledge yourself. Salt. Salt is another thing that you could add. If you are in the Jaguar Tree class, I did recommend buying black salt from Hawaii to create a relationship. It would be great to have it on your altars. That could be something that you could add in. Salt, as you know, is mineral, right? So this is a relationship with mineral. So if I'm adding salt, right, my relationship is with mineral. If I'm adding honey, my relationship is with animal and the plant kingdom. The winged insects, right? Plant kingdoms. The farmer that collected this and harvested it for me, right? The container it comes in, right? There's a lot of relationships that I'm working on there. Just like I'm working on relationships with salt, the people that picked it, whether it comes from a salt form or not, where it comes, how it got to me, and things like that. So a lot of things to consider. We live in this world where we think we can just have anything at any time. If you look at the recipes, and I say recipes for cacao, they're not really recipes. They were what people had around them. In French, the word is terroir, right? And if you go into France, and they have all their laws, they're called AOC laws that are about their wine, their cheese, their mushrooms, when you can pick, what you can raise and grow in different places in France. And it's based on years and years of studies of Capuchin monks, right? And they determine what grows best in France. So if you go to Normandy, you're not going to be able to access the same things that if you go, to a different region of France, right? And I know there's someone in France here, so she can attest to this. So that being said, I really want you to consider when you're having your cacao, all the relationships, if you choose to add things to it, that you are adding to it. And also, what are you going to give back? Now for the cacao making. Now, if you have your cacao already, awesome. If you don't, it's coming. I have mine in the fridge because I live in Hawaii. Everything melts. We talked about why I was told to create cacao in a circle. Give me 1 second. I'm going to put you over here with the honeys so I can actually do this. A ver. So usually when I'm preparing, this cacao, I'll have it out. I've already done ceremony. I've activated it, just like I told you to put it on your altar. I don't have the luxury of putting it on my altar. So what I'll add into the bag sometimes, or to the boxes that hold it, are feathers, rose petals, different things, right? And I'll make sure to tell the cacao and let it understand what I'm going to be using it for, whether I have a 5-pound bag of it or just an 8-ounce bag of it, right? So this has been sitting, and here are my little discs. What I like to do, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, that's 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Let's go for 14 today. 14 of these little discs are going to do me well, right? And again, when I'm putting in there, right, I'm counting. Counting is also part of the Mayan calendar. We went beyond 13. We went to 14, right? So we went full circle with the energetics. I can also talk to my cacao, right? I've already done this, but I'll show you of why I'm doing this. This intention, I'll whisper to the cacao to be able to sit with the class today, to be able to hold space. If you have a whole, and I'll show this another time for ceremony, this is just being prepared kind of for the class. I could also have my copal going, right, and bless it with the copal and things like that. I could bless it with different things as it's going in. So let's do that. This video is getting longer than I anticipated, but it seems that this is what it needs to happen. Fuego. A ver. So, here we go. Cacao in its sweetness likes sweet things. So Palo Santo, we're going to use a little Palo Santo. And then when I'm using Palo Santo, right, I'm bringing in the relationship of tree. Lighting it. This is what my grandfather calls white man's magic. I'm bringing in the relationship of fire. So here I am still using modern ways. I'm putting everything in licuadora. I forget what you guys call it in English. So here's my cacao. I have the water boiling, getting hot, right? It doesn't need to boil. I'll pray my intentions or sing my intentions into it. Huele, huele. Te llena, huele, llena. Te llena. Oh, you fell. Huele, huele. Okay. With those prayers and that song and the energy of earthquake. This is another thing that's used traditionally in making it. This is when you're making for like ceremony in a big pot. This is how I grew up making. And singing songs into the cacao while you're mixing it. You know, frothing it up. We're going to use more modern means, right? And this is the thing. We're building a bridge here. Now, even though I heated this up, this water, and kind of a quick heater, right? I'm still going to think fire. I'm still going to think water. Now, agua. Here we go. We're going to just add it. And go up to 1 cup of water up there, that line. And this should make enough, not just for myself, but taking a class. Now I have a dedicated cacao cup that I use that has been blessed, that I use for ceremonies. So I'm going to go into there. Usually when I'm doing ceremonies with a lot of people, we do small little cups, little 1 ounce, they hold 1 ounce, that I had my cousin send me from Mexico. And one of the things that when you pray in the whisk is to whisk out any bad relationships. So we're using wind. So even though we're using modern means, we already have multiple elements here, right? The cacao represents earth and also tree and fruit, but of the earth. The water is water, the fire of the heat, and then we're going to bring wind because we're going to mix it. And we are in a time of wind because we're sitting in the west. And the energy of wind is to purify. And that's what we're asking wind to do right now. We're doing it like this. Chocolate molinillo, ¿qué será, que el demonio va a pasar? Asking the devils and the demons, right? And so by doing this, adding wind, if you don't think you have good relationships or anything like that, this will kind of help that. Again, if you're in this class, I've taught you the agenda clearing to make sure that only you are entering into the circle with yourself. Wind is kind of doing that for the cacao, right? So we're going to turn it on. Now you want to really whisk it. You want to get a lot of air into it, right? A lot of wind energy into it. Vámonos. Pour it out. Give thanks. There you go. That gives you 1 cup, right? Now, what I love about this, here she is. Look at that frothiness. And the bubbles, the burbujas, always capture light and they capture rainbows. So all of a sudden, here I am. Here's my relationship, all my relationships in the circle that I've brought in. I brought in my relationship to volcano, to cacao, and I've actually made cacao, so I have a little bit more of a relationship with the fruit and with walking in a good way with her and being a good steward. I've also had a 40-plus relationship with cacao, as my grandmother taught me cacao ceremonies and things like that. I'm bringing to the circle, the wind. Thank you, KitchenAid, that provided it. Songs, prayer. I'm bringing it fire because we heated it. And also, of course, my relationship with water, my relationship with the island and everything like that. So here's my cacao. This I will set out in an altar for the class. I will have it for the class. I'll probably have a little bit of it. It will hold space for the class. And and then I'll return it to Mother Earth. So when you are making cacao, you always want to give back. So let's go give some to Mother Earth just in gratitude. So one of the altars that I have out here is to Pele, which you might want to consider since you are building relationship with a volcanic. Let me give you a little view from my house. There's the ocean. Thank you, ocean. Here's my relationship with wind. I've lived in windy places for quite some time. And below here, I have those, here's part of my altar, and I have 3 stones. We always use 3 stones to set up an altar. We would set up something on top of that. There's to catch water, so I have different elements going on here to create fire. And these 3 stones are to represent the bridge between earth, the celestial, and everything in between. So what I just do is literally just pour some cacao out in great thanksgiving. Make sure I hit all the rocks. And that is my offering. I could go down there as well. My little kitty said thank you. Yes, oh baby. So there you go. Here's the cacao. Here she is as we give thanks. And this will be the cacao sitting in the class. Sitting as we sit in ceremony and circle. If I was not doing this, if I was just doing this, this is actually what I do every day if I'm having cacao. If I was going to sit down and do a larger ceremony, I would do a lot more things on the back end. But for kind of your everyday use, your meditative space for the class, right? And I've also been in meditation for 3 hours plus already, getting ready for the class and for creating this cacao, right? That's what I do, because that's what I signed up to do as someone who's teaching this and making sure that I'm coming at this in a good way. Okay, let's go inside. Vámonos. Come here. Let's go. Let's go. Stop crying. Come on, let's go. But again, this is a simple way to make cacao. If I drank all of this, I'd be jumping off the wall. So again, this is 8 ounces, right? Usually ceremonial cacao, when you're drinking it, you're really only supposed to drink 1 ounce of it, maybe 2. It's not about the quantity, right? It's about the quality of what you put in. So sometimes what I'll do is I'll give a lot more to Mother Earth. This cacao can last me for the full day. I can also put it in the fridge, use it tomorrow. Because it is has so many discs in it, we put in 14, which would be more kind of ceremonial grade. It will thicken up, right? So you'll have to mix it. I'm not going to reheat it, but that might be something that I do unless I want to, and I'm allowed and I ask to be able to share it with Rose or to have some, but this will take me more than a whole day to consume. But I do 1 cup like that to make sure I give half to Mother Earth and the rest for myself. We made a large cup today so that we can all have those energetics in ceremony. So there you go. Here's your little video just to start having conversations with cacao, how to make it, what it means to when you're sitting with relationship, what you're bringing in, and how to have those conversations with yourself. I hope this helped, and I will see you in class later. Mahalo.